Look, when that shit drop, you step all the way on their neck, step on their neck and their head with that shit.
Fine then, I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel, I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it, got it out the mud, straight to glory. They don't know how I said he nice, but he don't show them skills, how I show them skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel. They mad, up some solid circle tight, yeah, vacuum seal. No, they want my life, I ain't worried, I got rank for real. I got bigger soldiers, kill for me, nigga, watch yourself. They said you been in beast mode lately, you is not yourself. When you dropping that fire, precious marriage, they inquiring. They can't stop what's coming, but I see them conspiring. Cross the line, them firing. This bitch here, finna break the spin. No kindness, I don't trust you, circle small. You can keep your features. Me and my niggas don't keep no secrets. In the feel like Jeepers Creepers, say they want some smoke, dog. So I brought these Jimmy Sweets. Coming like we coming, you can't even count. These niggas don't run it like we running, bitch, don't even start. Bitch, I'm with my niggas till the end, till them do us part. So if you wanna leave, you can leave, bitch. Bless your heart, fine then. I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel, I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it, got it out the mud, straight to glory. They don't know how I feel. He nice, but he don't show them skills, how I show them skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel. Ooh, I got a man, circle tight, yeah, back and seal. I heard they want my life, I ain't worried, I got rate for real. Take over in effect, yeah, I'm fully focused. You might not see it on me, just know it's women, that bitch fully loaded. Ooh, yeah, we up and rolling. Told them I need major motion. Nigga, I'm joking, I'ma school them niggas like they baby Jody. Got it out the dust, now I'm too clean, don't know why they hate me. What you want out life, dog? Guns and butter, baby boy. You PK top, dog. Certified road runner. I'ma turn that econ line into a damn tank. I got choppers stashed in the attic like they Air Frank. They had that shit on lock till I snapped on them like bolt cutters. You cannot play both sides, gotta choose your colors. See, I'm throwing that one up with that W, that's my blood, bro. Fine then. I ain't show no mercy, I'm gonna show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel, I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it, got it out the dust, straight to glory. They don't know how I feel. He nice, but he don't show them skills, how I show them skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel. Ooh, I got a man, circle tight, yeah, back and seal. Said they want my life, I ain't worried, I got Ray for real.
Yeah, you know what it is. 140 for the rebel, busy man shit, nigga. They take their head over, nigga.
I read where Eve did to Adam, I just pray my love don't lie to me. Swing the iron like Samson, I can't let no holder lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, all they lies is hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying, this shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Suckle up and stay alert, another cop can stretch the nigga. He ain't demon, it's an exorcism, watch I bless the nigga. You took that oath in blood, then you know I'm gonna get active with you. From the opposition, I see vision, let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spin, I ain't listening, is in fact the If revenge was a woman, now I scope that bitch like Jake. So I war, we gon' run the summer, it's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't do that, bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it young baby. How you real trigger on them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? What he saying something, I ain't hear. This shit like it ain't about who got the gun, it's about who gon' up that fight first. I turn a bad situation to a game change. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the change. Bring shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand that feeds you, you'll never get that hand back. Bitch about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. A certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, out with that hollow sign, yeah, this the rim accord.
Yep, what's going on? Shalom, Yahweh, Shem Yahshua, Thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shemar, Thumb, Shem Yahshua to the sisters. Priest Officer 5000 Abun here teaching the class at the helm here. Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, the Toronto School, representing the Montreal School at the helm here in the entire nation of Canada. Every blade of grass and every green tree is under the possession of the one the world calls Jesus Christ, Yahweh in the Hebrew, and I am his faithful servant here at the helm for Canada, Priest Officer 5000 Abun. Got a myriad of topics to touch on today. If you can hear me and see me, press 1. If you can hear me and see me, press 1. Let's get those ones into the chat. Let's get these ones into the chat. If you have any questions, type your questions in. You have questions, let's have them, type them in. Also, if you are blessed with the opportunity to hear our voices of the priests and prophets of the Most High in the ISUPK, do your part, smash the share button. Do your part, smash the like button. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So we've got a lot of topics to touch on today. One of the main topics is the situation in India with Mr. Modi, as well as Mr. Trudeau. We're going to get to the root of that, and really where it's leading, where this situation is leading, and where all geopolitical issues, geopolitical affronts, or what have you, are leading is to the Third World War. Okay, it's to the Third World War, which is the true world war to end all wars. I'll show that as well. I'll show you that as well in the Bible. Smash the like button, smash the share button. We're getting into it. Type your questions in. Let's have your questions. And I'm going to get into it here briefly. 1 second. All right, so we're going to get into the situation here with India. So for those of you that don't know, there's a situation, a little skirmish in India, or in Canada rather, where a man was killed in Canada or in India. But I'm going to get to it here in a second. Again, 1. If you can hear and see me, 1, if you can hear and see me. I'm going to share my screen here momentarily. Bear with me 1 second. All right, so you're going to go to Reuters. Matter of fact, let's go to CNN first. So this sounds a bit more headline-ish. All right. So some CNN says extremists given operating space in Canada, says Indian minister. An Indian minister has accused Canada of giving operating space to terrorists and extremists. An Indian minister has accused Canada of giving operating space to extremists, terrorists, and extremists. I find that very interesting because what many of you don't know about Canada, is that Canada also has given place to terrorists and extremists. The Ku Klux Klan somehow, some way, even though the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge was searched head to toe at the border several times, somehow, some way, the Ku Klux Klan made its way into Canada. I repeat, somehow, some way, the Ku Klux Klan made its way to Canada, yet Canada is going to open their mouth. An Indian minister is going to say that Canada has been giving operating space to terrorists and extremists. That's absolutely true, man. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. That's what they've been doing. That's what they have been doing. And that's who they are, man. They're extremists. They're extremists. Like people love to say, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge is a hate group. What the priests and prophets have to say is wrong, and it's something we've made up. None of that is true, man. First of all, we're not a hate group. I'm going to show you that in the Bible. We're a group that loves blacks, Latinos, and First Nations. And if that makes us extreme, or if that makes us hateful, then call us the Nazis times 2 then. Okay? Call us the Nazis times 2. Bear with me 1 second. But that's the truth. That's what we are. What we are is a group that is based in love for a specific group of people. Love for a specific group of people. I'm going to show you that. This is what our school is based on right here, if I can sum it up in one word. All right, this is what our school is based on, if I can sum it up in one word. This is Mark chapter 12, verse 30, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. That's the first thing you need to understand about us, is that we love God, and God is a man. God is not a woman. God is not an entity with pronouns. God is not trans. God is not a member of the alternative community, and that should be well understood, and that should be okay. Like in 2023, one of the things that I don't see are discourses on both sides of the tree. You know, Only one narrative is accepted. Only one thing is allowed to be pushed. Only one lifestyle, one form of sexuality is vaunted to the hills. For what reason? Who knows? I mean, of course we know, but for the purposes of this argument, of the statement that I'm making, who knows? These sorts of things are being vaunted to the sky, but loving God is really something that's hated. Loving God is really something that's hated here in this earth. What do I mean by that? If you love God, you would not buy loose women, horizontal employees, ceiling experts, okay? Mouth to private resuscitation performers, circus freaks. You wouldn't pay for them, man, for 5 minutes or however long you dimwits are lasting, 2 minutes. You wouldn't do those things. If you love God, you wouldn't eat pork. Pork is not the other white meat. God condemns that. He's against it. We can go into the reasons and the science. We can do all that. We can have a Bill Nye TV episode, or we can just take it for what it is and do what God said. That's this school, man. That's this school. And India has some grounds in saying that Canada has been harboring extremists. Why? Because of all things, the evil and wicked ISUPK, the evil prophets. Somehow, some way, the Ku Klux Klan made its way to Canada, man. And other groups as well have made its way. So what India said was not a false statement. It was not a false statement, and Canada can make the same argument about India. Some groups in India that Canada doesn't agree with, But to sum this whole thing up that we're doing here, it is to love God. We love the Most High, and some of us love Him so much that we are going to champion His word out throughout the world. Throughout Canada, the streets of Toronto, streets of Montreal, in Winnipeg, in Edmonton, in Calgary, in Vancouver, and Scotia, Halifax, what have you, and Newfoundland, whatever. Wherever our people are, that's where we're going to go to profess the love of God. That's what we're professing. Canada, that's what you don't understand. We're professing the love of God. We're professing the love of God. So hopefully Canada now knows what it's like to have a very, very extreme label placed on them that they may not agree with. But unlike us, where the statement made about us being an extremist group is false, our stance, according to this world, is extreme, but we believe much of the same things that the so-called Jewish man believes. We believe some of the things that the Christian church claims to believe. Some of. It's not that extreme. That's not what it is. But it is that loving God is something that is extreme. Loving God is something that is not welcomed here because everyone wants to do things on their own. Everyone wants to go off and do things on their own. Even Canada and India, it's going to lead them right into hell. That's where it's going to lead them. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. That's the first commandment. You're to summarize the commandments of God. The first way to summarize it would be to love God. What is loving God? Keeping His commandments. All right? What is loving God? Keeping His commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. I'm going to pull that as well. Because we just don't talk out of our left cheek here. All right? John 14 and 15. If ye love me, keep my commandments. That's what God said. That's what Christ said. If you love Christ, you keep His commandments. What were Christ's commandments? The commandments that Christ had were the commandments that Moses laid down along with extras. Loving your brother. How to love your brother. Not hating your brother in your heart or your mind. Not devising evil things against him in your mind. That's what loving the Most High is keeping His commandments. So if you love God, you wouldn't eat pork. If you love God, you wouldn't have sex with that woman and then throw her away. If you love God, you wouldn't shoot people or harm people or unalive people. If you truly love God. But Canada doesn't love God. Canada is a nation that does not love God. And because Canada does not love God, Canada is going to descend into hell, man. God's going to bring it down to hell. God's going to bring Canada down to a low place. And yes, you're going to war with India. You're going to war with Russia. You're going to war with Iraq. You're going to war with Iran. You're going to war with North Korea. You're going to war with China. All of these nations are going to descend into war. Why? Because the one you call God is tired of these nations ruling on this earth. You've had your shot to rule, but you didn't love God. You had your shot to rule, but you had the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel in chattel slavery and now in psychological slavery now. You would think that there's only one genre of music that black people make and listen to and have ever listened to, and that's I'm going to steal your woman, and I'm going to unalive you. I'm going to remove your spirit from this earth, rap. And that's just not true, man. Most forms of Western music were pioneered, if not invented and created and developed by so-called black people, Latinos and natives. All right? Mark 12:31. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love your neighbor as yourself. You wouldn't want someone taking your woman from you, so don't do it to someone else. You wouldn't want someone robbing you, so don't rob someone else. You wouldn't want someone stealing from you, so don't steal from someone else. You wouldn't want someone giving you a philosophy that would kill you, so don't give a philosophy that would kill someone to someone else. And see, that's what the Christian church does. The Christian church should be identified as an extremist group, not the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Because just through analyzing the statistics, it's clearly shown, it's clearly been illustrated that the Catholic Church, the Christian church, is the religion of the criminal, is the religion of the mob boss, is the religion of the prisoner, of the felon. Meaning what? It makes felons. There's people in our organization that have past records from things they've done before they've come to the knowledge of the truth. But what you've pushed and what you've promoted is a philosophy that leads one to prison. It's extreme. It's terroristic. The people that are running around in the streets of Toronto and Montreal and make certain areas hard to live in or uninhabitable or full of gunshots, are they radical Hebrew Israelites? Because that's what you call us now too, radical Hebrew Israelites. Are they radical Hebrew Israelites? No, they're Christian. What this Indian minister said about Canada, what are you going to say, Canada? What are you really going to say? You vaunted Christianity as a major religion for a very long time. Now you claim you're no longer a part of the Christian church, which is a lie, which is just disingenuous, because if we're really looking at it, the origin of the Genesis, the Big Bang of the LGBTQ, the Big Bang of the rainbow, it started in the Vatican. The point of singularity of the LGBTQ community is the Vatican. And see, no one's talking about this. No one's expressing this. But that's the God's honest truth here. But you won't find that here with the radical and hateful Hebrew Israelites. Do you know why? Because we love God. That's who we love. That's who we give our devotion to. That is who we are inspired by. That is who orchestrates. That's who we allow our lives to be orchestrated by. See, Canada, your life has not been orchestrated by God. Your reign has not been orchestrated by God. Your reign's been orchestrated by your own will. Okay? And the problem with that is that you're going to have a bunch of people in your nation that are just like you. And that's what Canada is. Canada is full of criminals. Why? Because the nation was started by crime. Major cities in Canada have a problem with crime. Why? Because the nation was started with crime, theft, robbery, murder, unliving, stealing. Okay? Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 2, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. So in any level, if you're dealing with corruption, at one level, it's probably a level up. And probably a level up from there. All right? Which is why it's important for those of you that are coming to the truth, for those of you that are in the truth, man, to be a man, be a woman that can set a damn example, man. Like what is the only thing that's stopping Canada from correctly labeling us an extremist group and a hate group is the actions of the members that are in the group. All right, we have to maintain the protocols that have been passed down, maintain the laws, statutes, and commandments that have been given to us from the Most High and the proper understanding of them, which has just recently been shown. We have to maintain that, or this is just going to be another Catholic church. So it's very important to keep that in mind as well. Canada has an issue with corruption. Canada has an issue with harboring extremists. So as does India. Why? Because the judges of this place are corrupt. The officers of this place are corrupt. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. You got a bad city, you got a corrupt city, a city dealing with crime. The rulers of that city are just as corrupt. They're just as corrupt, and I just read that out of the Bible. Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 2. Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 2, and that's the God's honest truth, man. That's the truth. That's who we are. Now, I don't know about Canada. Okay, can we say that Canada loves their neighbor? No, they don't. No, they don't. Do you know why? Because if you love someone, you wouldn't allow them to mutilate yourself and then call it an expression of your sexual identity. If I was mentally ill and I wanted to cut my arm off, my family members wouldn't say, oh yeah, you should go ahead and do that. You're free to choose, you know? Maybe you always thought that you were someone who had one arm. It doesn't make sense. It's not practical. You can't extrapolate that horizontally and form a coherent, cohesive and cogent philosophy from that. You can't, but you can't off the Bible. You can't off the Bible. Loving God, loving your brother as yourself. Let's read on. There is none other commandment greater than these. There's no other commandment greater than these. So on tier one of our priorities is loving the Most High, keeping the commandments, and close second is loving our brothers, man. And that's what we do. So we're not going to teach you a damn lie. We're not going to feed you a hill of beans. We're not going to lead you up the damn river. We're not going to tell you something we know is going to get you killed. And if we push Christianity, that's what we'd be doing. We'd be leading you to the guillotine. We'd be leading you to Guantanamo South. We'd be leading you to federal prison, because that's where many Christians go. That's where many Muslims go. That's where many Egyptologists, lettuce worshiping, a Doomsday Festival observing, fruit sacrifice offering dimwits go. Jail, prison, the grave. All right? So this is a little foray into who we are and what it is we actually teach. I'm going to share the screen. We're going to get back to the CNN article. And get back to the CNN article. Again, if you're listening to this, smash the like button. If you're listening to this, smash the share button. It's imperative that you do so the word might get out. Okay. An Indian minister has accused Canada of giving operating space to terrorists and extremists. Is he wrong here? KKK in Canada. How did the Ku Klux Klan make it to Canada? We know. Well, we know the black Hebrew Israelites, they're terrible. Yet you've got KKK members in Canada. You've got groups of men that are running around kidnapping Native American women and doing vile, despicable things to them. But we are the group that must be stopped. We're the group that shall not be named and is so terrible and evil. This is from CBC.Canada. It reads, the rise of the Ku Klux Klan in Canada. So they're on the rise, Canada. And you've got Indian ministers saying they're harboring terrorists and extremists. It appears that that is correct. It appears that is correct. Let me give you some history because you may not know. So clear the maple syrup from your ears, clean the poutine from between your teeth, and listen in, Canada. All right? The Ku Klux Klan was a terrorist organization that started in the South, Pulaski, I believe Pulaski, Tennessee is where it was founded. It could be another state, whatever. In any event, they were a group who had some mission aims and goals and whatever, like any other group, but they were responsible for or directly involved in or indirectly involved in the lynching of thousands of black people in the South. Thousands of black people in the South were lynched between the end of the Civil War, Reconstruction era, and onward. And why was that? Because they being the Edomites, the so-called Europeans, the oppressors, they hate us. They hate us. Bear with me 1 second. They hate us, and they would love to see nothing else than us fall. And that's it. That's the God's honest truth. Okay? Psalm 137 and verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. That's what they've said, man. That's what they've said here in Canada. Raise it. Destroy Regent Park. Destroy this settlement and that settlement. Destroy the Dominican Republic. That's what they've said, man. That's who they are. They're the children of Edom. That's the other thing as well. They're not white, okay? They're not white. That page, see this background here? This background's white. You have a white shirt, that's white. White shoes, that's white. Okay? This guy here, he would classify himself as a white man, Caucasian. But if you look, he's peach. That's his color. Peach, pink, red. Okay? Edom. Ottawa, which means red. Okay? That's who they are. That's who and what they are. And somehow this group made it to Canada. So when you hear foreign ministers saying that you have an extremist problem, yeah, Canada, you do. There are many Native American women that have been found gone, perished from this earth, and others that have been kidnapped and been missing. And you mean to tell me there's no groups tied to it? There was a serial killer out in Canada who would target, First Nations prostitutes and would feed them to pigs, man. That's what they said. Raise it, even to the foundation thereof. And that's what they've done here. That's what they've done all across Canada. That's what they've done all across Canada, man. And that's this little group here, the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah. You want to stop the ISUPK at the border all the damn time and siphon through us like we're Al Qaeda or something. We haven't harmed a hair on the head of any Canadian, man, and we won't. But we will teach the truth. Whether that pisses you off or not, listen, that's between you and God. You say you can talk to God, go talk to him. He's got customer service 24/7, 365 days of the week. But the proof's in the pudding right here. What are you going to say to this, Canada? What are you going to say? Now you know how it feels. Now you know how it feels to receive a label. But here's the thing. The label you received from India, unlike the label you've given us, you and B'nai B'rith, that fake Jewish organization that wrote an expose about us, like we gave a damn and like it stopped it from coming in. And you try and come along and start and instigate things in the camps when we have them in the public speakings. That label that they put on you is correct, man. And you need to own it. It's 2023. A man can own being a woman. A woman can own being a man. A man can own the fact that he bends over a table and lets a man do vile and horrible and horrific things to him. You can own that, but you can't own the title of being an extremist, harboring an extremist. It's true. It's true. And I'm going to sit here in front of this camera and say it, and I'm going to go be in all across Canada, different areas of Canada, and tell you that to your face, man. And if there's an issue, then there's an issue. But the truth to power needs to be spoken here. And somebody's got to do it. Someone's got to have the cojones. Someone's got to have the chest hair. Someone's got to have the Holy Spirit in order to go and say the things that no one else is willing to say. All right? That no one else is willing to say. Let me get that scripture. All right? Bear with me 1 second. Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Don't be deceived. Don't be tricked. God won't be mocked. You see, you think you can mock us. Black Hebrew Israelites, extremist hate group coming to Canada. You think you can mock us. You think you can write articles and say this and we're doing that, and that is going to stop us or make us skip a beat. It doesn't. God's not going to be mocked. Don't be deceived. Don't be tricked out here. Okay? And that's what's going on here in 2020. That's what's going on the internet and the interwebs, or whatever the hell it is. There's a lot of deceiving going on, a lot of deception. I speak as a man here. This isn't the law of God, whatever. I speak as a man, but what I see on the internet, I don't believe from anybody. You, the milkman, the UPS delivery boy, that African American, Elon Musk building his beer cans to go ship out to outer space for various reasons, which I won't discuss here. But what was I saying? Oh boy. There's a lot of deception going on. 98% of what you see on the internet is fake. The fights, the whatever, this woman got hit, most of it's fake. Don't be deceived. Don't be tricked out here. Okay? God is not mocked. Let's read on. Galatians 6 and 7. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Whatever a man soweth. If you sow as a man or as a woman, if you sow righteousness, you are going to reap righteousness. And these dimwits out here call it karmic justice, karma, or whatever. All it is you putting in the work and you receiving the fruits. You can't plant orange seeds. I repeat, folks, you can't plant orange seeds and expect to get apple trees. It doesn't work like that. You plant apples, you get apple trees. You plant oranges, you get orange orchards, groves, whatever it's called. If you plant wickedness, if you plant crack, if you plant Fenty in predominantly black areas in Canada, guess what? You're going to reap a fentanyl epidemic. And the fentanyl epidemic is taking out more so-called Caucasians than the Black Plague. That's what it's done, and that's what it's doing. All right? That's what it's done, and that's what it's doing. So I'm going to share this other screen here. Bear with me 1 second. We've got another screen I'd like to share with the Ku Klux Klan in Canada to illustrate, to drive my point home. Because what the Indian minister said about you is right. We're going to show you an extremist group. It's the Ku Klux goddamn Klan, famous for lynching so-called black people in the South. All right? I'm going to read the title again. This is from the CBC. I didn't write this. I didn't drink the Kool-Aid and dance around the fire and make something up about Canada. This is something that your journalists and your news outlets published. The rise of the Ku Klux Klan in Canada and why its lasting impact still matters. So yes, you do have extremist groups in Canada. From the 20s to the 80s, historian Alan Bartley explores the history of the KKK in Canada. 1 second, let me skip on down to what's going on here. 1 second. It's a good part. 1920, KKK heads north. By the early 1920s, there were tens of thousands of new Klan lodges or klaverns in the U.S. And recruiters started to cross the border into the Maritimes, the lower mainland of British Columbia and southern Ontario. So they got it. And were they checked like the ISUBK was checked, though we're nothing like the Klan and have never lynched anyone? No. Well, what you did do, Canada, in the 20s, what you did do was you decided to try and keep blacks out. Okay, and that ties right into Zephaniah 2:1. I'm going to read it briefly here, that nobody wants us. And that's something that we need to understand. No one wants us, but we have to want ourselves. Black man, Latino, First Nation. Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. That's who we are. We're a nation not desired, man. We're a nation not desired. And we have to gather ourselves together. We have to gather ourselves together. All right? Bear with me 1 second. Going back to Galatians 6 and 7 now. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. That's what's going to happen, man. If you sow extremism, etc., you're going to reap extremism. Now, you're going to have other people pointing at you, saying about you that you harbor extremists. And what are you going to say? I hope Canada wasn't on the airways saying, no, we don't. We would never harbor extremists. We know that's a damn lie. I just showed you that. I'm showing you this right here. Let's read on. There was no organization to the recruiting at that time, said Bartley, noting that the popularity of the birth of a nation had served as kind of a recruitment tool. Excuse me. It was individuals who were essentially salesmen signing up members, taking the $13 that the new members would hand over and creating a new group in whatever community they were in. So it's a full-out gang organization, full-out operating in Canada, etc. Here's an image of them in Kingston, Ontario. That's not too far. That's a hop, skip, and a jump away from where we are. ISUBK here in Toronto. Look at it. Klansmen ready to light the cross on fire. And why they light a cross on fire, you'd have to express that to me, because if Christ is on the cross, are they burning him alive? Are they burning him alive? You know? Let's pull that real quick too. I'm going to stay at Galatians. We're going to go to Galatians 6 and 8 in a minute, but I'm going to pull that as well. You know, because everyone's talking about the Antichrist, he's going to be one man. He's going to run into your small apartment. He's going to tie you down to the chair, knock the subway sub out of your mouth, knock the Cheeto dust off you, and he's going to inject a microchip in your rear end. That's not what's going to happen, man. The government does not care whether you eat or not. The government does care, however, about your religious identity. The government apparently now, they do care about your sexual orientation. You see, that's getting jammed down your throats. But a tracking device is not. Tracking device is not. A microchip is not. There's microchips everywhere. There's a microchip in your phone. What are we going to do now? It's in your hand. It's right here. See, his microchip's in my hand. Oh, my God. Oh, mark of the beast. It's a microchip in my hand. Hell, it's a microchip in my forehead right now, too. What's going on, y'all? How you doing? It's not the mark of the beast is. That's not what they're interested in. But they are interested in the sexual identity of your children. They are interested in you celebrating Christmas. They are interested in you trick-or-treating. This nonsense about the Antichrist, one man. There's Antichrist right there. There's 4 of them sitting on horses. They even dress the horses up, idiots. They even dress the horses up in those sheets. A bunch of damn kids. And that's the other thing as well. Little boys are running this earth now. That's why the ozone layer's out of whack. That's why they had to essentially force everyone to go inside so that the earth could heal. Okay, that's not why they did it, but that's what happened. That's why they scream and run around when there's a virus, a little, not a little cold, but there's a virus. That's why they don't know what to do. That's why the supply chains are halted, because this is a child. They're only thinking as far as their stomach will take them, and they're thinking as far as their power and their money will get them. That's pretty much it. And that's the problem, man. Look at these little goddamn boys in sheets. In sheets. That's the problem with the earth. You think they want to see you get a degree? You think they want to see your daughter be modest? You're out of your damn mind. And so that's what's being pushed here amongst the Negro, Latino, First Nations, a bunch of debauchery, man. A bunch of debauchery. Let's continue on. This is 1 John chapter 2, verse 18. Little children, it is the last time. Right? It's the last time, kids. It's all they wrote, folks. It's all they wrote, kiddos. Sit back, grab the popcorn, kick back, take notes, because it's all going down from here. It's the last time. And as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, that Antichrist shall come. The Christian church stops there and say, stop, the Pope. It is not me who is sitting over an organization that has abused more children than the Pied Piper. It is not me who literally spawned the rainbow community. It's not me. I'm not the Antichrist, but there's a guy coming. He's going to be really mean. He's going to tell you to come inside at 10 p.m. He's going to put a microchip in your bloodstream. Will you give me a damn break? Will you give me a damn break? That's a bold-faced lie. And as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists. There's 4 of them right here on sheets, on bed sheets, Bed Bath & Beyond of its day bed sheets with little holes poked in them. All right. Essentially mad that the blacks are taking their jobs. The blacks are more masculine than them, more manly, more man than them, packing more man than you are, Mr. Caucasian, Mr. Oppressor. Okay. With more moves, more motion, more waviness, if you will, style, swagger, sauce, salt, seasoning than you have. And he can't relinquish power, so he has to exhort to extremely violent and terroristic means to establish control, because he's like a child. Okay, and this is them throwing their temper tantrum because they can't get all the goddamn toys. It's basically what this is. There are many antichrists: Catholic Church, Muslim mosque, lettuce worshippers, Adunde Festival, Harambe Code, Power to the People, Unquaring. Folks, there's more than one Antichrist, and they're here. Now there are many Antichrists. Now, anyone telling you Christ loves everyone is an Antichrist. Anyone telling you pork because you have the right meat is against Christ. They hate him, and they are currently and in your face unzip their pants and have proceeded to urinate on his grave in front of you. But telling you that it's love. God loves you, and that He loves God. Okay. That's what it is. I'm going to check real quick, see if we have any questions. If you have questions, type your questions in. If you have questions, type your questions in. All right. Any questions, type them in. Let's have them. All right. Let's have them. But Canada, this is an extremist group right here. Look here to my left. This is an extremist group, is it not? Do they love everybody? Do they spew any hateful rhetoric? You lied and said that we do when that's a total lie. Do they do that? Yeah. And they're in Canada. And they're in Canada. Historically, the Klan has been very good at exploiting any kind of community tensions, particularly ones based on race and religion, Bartley said. At that time in Canada, negative public sentiment already existed against Catholics and French-speaking Canadians, as well as against Black, Jewish, and Chinese people. That's another thing they try and do as well. That's another thing they try and do as well, which is they jump on our suffering bandwagon, meaning in a new movement or in any push for civil rights, the group that is affected, the group that's going for the rights, will almost often decry the fact that they are being treated like black people, when that's not true. The LGBTQ community, number one, not only are they not oppressed, but they've done quite a bit of oppressing. All right, that's another thing that's not mentioned is, LGBTQ men in their aggressive and hostile accosting or harassment of straight males. That's not talked about, but they straight up catcall you on the street, and that's not talked about. The same thing with the lesbians. All right. So that's another myth. Now, some been intact, sure. But Jewish people, all right, come on, man. First of all, and let's clear this up. Some of them were in the Ku Klux Klan. Let's stop pretending. And also, you had many of them that were slave owners, and many of them that fought for the Confederacy. It's largely not true. Meaning the severity of treatment, the severity of oppression that the black people were facing is many orders of magnitude higher than the level of oppression the Jewish people or Chinese people were facing. Let's be frank here. Let's be real. It's not true. Let's read on. When the Klan arrived in Canada, it was not as if they convinced people suddenly to start hating, Bartley said. Canadians were already well established in their views of how they saw non-white, non-Protestant, non-conforming members of Canadian society. So what he's saying is that Canada was a perfect breeding ground for the Ku Klux Klan. Stop. Wait. Canada was a perfect breeding ground for the Ku Klux Klan. So Canada, why are you upset that an Indian minister says that you've harbored extremists? I don't get it. It's clear cut right there. It's the historian said, Mr. Bartley. What he is essentially admitted to is that Canada had the perfect environment for the Ku Klux Klan. Where is all this Canadians are loved, eh? Canadians are nicer than Americans, eh? Where's all that at? I don't see that, and I don't find that to be true. And this historian doesn't find it to be true either. This historian doesn't find it to be true either. You know what I mean? Let's keep going in this article. I'm going to read a scripture real quick on it. It says Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity. You see, they have a perpetual hatred, black man, Latino, First Nation. They have a perpetual hatred against us. What is that perpetual hatred? That perpetual hatred is the fact that they know, subconsciously or consciously, that we are better than them, that we are more well-equipped than they are. We are more men or women are more women than they are, And because of that, they've had a perpetual hatred against us. They have. Now, does that mean every odd French, Dutch, Spanish, Russian person you meet hates you? No. But as a nation, when they've banded together, they're banding together as typically, historically, been for the oppression of blacks, Latinos, and First Nations. That can't be disputed, man. That can't be disputed, and it's been perpetual. Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. See, this is the time of our calamity. This is the time we are judged for the things that we have done as a nation. And in that time, you have furthered it and pushed it along by slaughtering us by the tens of millions, man. By the tens of millions, which is what you've done here over, the course of half a millennium. You know what I mean? Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. And so that's what this whole skirmish between India and Canada is going to lead to. It's going to lead to blood, man. It's going to lead to blood. That's where it's going to lead. That's where it's going to lead. All right, so I prompted you in the chat. The chat's plural. Type your questions in. We are live. ISUBK Canada, ISUBK Toronto. We are live on YouTube. ISUBK Montreal. We are live on Facebook. ISUBK Toronto is also live on Twitter. All right. They're being prepared unto blood. That's what all this is about. They're being prepared unto blood. All right. Let's continue reading this article on the Ku Klux Klan. Skip down. Bear with me 1 second. Let's read this. 1930s. In the 1930s, some Klan members and leaders had moved towards fascism and Nazism. And some of the early members popped up again in fascist and Nazi-like organizations in Canada. So that's where the whole collusion between, old English-based white supremacist groups and the Nazis had also linked. There's a big push for the Nazis here in America. That's another thing that wasn't mentioned, is that many people in the Americas were in support of the Nazis, in support of Adolf Hitler. Okay? There was a gigantic American Socialist Party, I believe, which were the American Nazis. There was a big meeting in Madison Square Garden. And so you can make the same case for America, that America has harbored extremists and terrorists. And that certainly can't be refuted. You'd have to be just an abject liar to believe that, or to say that. But 1 second. Just keep moving down. Let's read the end. Bartley points out about half a dozen other groups that have taken up the Klan's mantle, recruiting members and promoting hatred in Canada. You have groups like the Sons of Odin, Blood and Honor, the Atomwaffen Division, La Mute in Quebec, said Bartley. I would argue that even if these groups are not formally identified with the Klan, the ideas that they promote and propagate certainly have their origins with the Klan and benefit from that association. Okay? The new white nationalist and white supremacist groups are, quote, as virulent and as dangerous and as flagrant as the Ku Klux Klan was in its heyday and should not be dismissed, he said. There is, I think, an argument for a seam of hate in Canadian society that's never really gone away. There is, I think, an argument for a seam of hate in Canadian society that's never really gone away. It hasn't gone away. Who's that hatred for? The Blacks, Latinos, and First Nations. That's who it's primarily for. Now, Jewish and Chinese and Catholic, non-Protestant, that's all a byproduct. And let's get that straight here. Let's make sure we understand that. Catholics and Protestants were not being lynched from trees at the same numbers, sheer numbers, as the Blacks were. Not as many of them were being lynched, being hung from trees as Blacks. And it's biblical as well. Why? Because they said they have a perpetual hatred against us. And because of that, they're being prepared unto blood. They're being prepared unto blood. What is one way that blood will be shed? Well, one way that blood will be shed is in war. We're going to get that as well. War here between the different nations on this earth. All right. Let's get Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog. Gog is against God. The Most High is against Gog. Okay? Gog is talking about the modern-day Russians. If you look up a Genesis 10 map, the land of Gog, Magog, or what have you, is a land that spanned Russia and many of the now called Eastern Bloc countries, former Soviet nations, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Georgia, Armenia, etc. Let's continue. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Land of Magog is that area spanning a large portion of Asia, along with Central Asia and Eastern Europe. Okay, so Latvia, Estonia, Romania, Ukraine, Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, spanning over into Armenia, Georgia, okay, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, all right, etc. The chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, the chief prince of Meshech, okay, is the chief prince of Moscow. And if you looked in history with the Soviet Union and more commonly today with the current Russian Federation, it is run from Moscow. Moscow is a major city. Moscow, you look up the ancient name, it goes back to a word which is Muscovy. Okay, and the definition of that escapes me at this point, but you can go look that up. I believe it is Muscovy. And before Muscovy, there's a link between that and Meshech. Okay, that's the modern day city of Moscow. All right, and that's where they rule from. And God is telling you where you're going to rule from. Meshech and Tubal is Tobolsk, I believe. All right. Verse 3, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Verse 4, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. That's what's going to happen here. That's going to happen in Canada, in Gog, in Russia, in Kazakhstan, in Mongolia, in Uzbekistan, in Tajikistan, in Germany, and Germany, and Armenia, in Georgia, etc. Let's continue to see these nations. Where are the lines going to be drawn? You know? Verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them. What's interesting about many of those countries have been upended by U.S. intervention, by U.S. proxies. We know what happened in Libya when they sodomized and then unalived the former leader, Muammar Gaddafi. And there's a lot of speculation as to why that happened. You know, they say he tried to buy oil with euros, which is a death sentence, a quick trip to the unaliving chamber. You know, they say he tried to buy gas with euros. I believe that Saddam Hussein wanted to do the same thing. I'm not saying that they weren't criminals, but it's highly ironic that they both wanted to use euros, I believe, for the exchange of gas, you know, of crude oil, if you will. You know what I mean? So that's something that's quite interesting. These nations have all been destroyed. These nations have all been destroyed by the U.S. and her allies. You know, they're going to come back. They're going to come back with Russia, and they're going to fight. Persia, okay? Iran is the modern name of Persia. Ethiopia, the pirates, Somalian pirates. And then Libya, what's left of Libya. With them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands. The house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Gomer is talking about the French. You can look this up. There's a big link between French cuisine, Russian cuisine, French culture, Russian culture. There was an exchange that was done, and there's a literal exchange of money. I believe that France had helped finance the Bolshevik Revolution, or one of those revolutions that they had early in their modern era, if you will, the era of USSR and then Russia. Okay, Gomer is the biblical name of France, or the French of Central Europe. Togarmah, talking about Armenia and the Kardashians. All right, that region, Georgia as well, Dagestan as well. And all his bands. So all those militaries with them are coming along. And many people with thee. Many people with him. All right? Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself. Thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee. Be prepared, man. Like, be ready and get ready. That's what this is saying. Be ready and get yourself ready. Canada, that's what you need to do. You need to go off into the kitchen and start doing some push-ups. You so-called oppressors in Canada. That's what needs to happen. All right? That's what needs to happen. Why? Because there's been hate in Canada, you know? Hate has thrived in Canada. Israel asked a question. I'm appreciative of the question, Israel. Let's get your answer. We'll get your answer real quick. All right. What's the meaning of the word Christian? Well, let's look it up in the Bible. All right. Bear with me 1 second. If you have any more questions, type your questions in, all right? Okay, Israel. The word Christian comes from the Greek Christianos, and it literally just means a follower of Christ. All right? That's what the word literally means, but now what it means is someone who believes in the Christian faith. And the Christian faith and being a follower of Christ, of the anointed one, is two different things. The word Christ means anointed one, Mashiach in the Hebrew, Mashiach. And so a Christian would be a follower of the anointed one. What Christian means now, Israel, is something far different than that. A Christian is someone who observes a Christian religion. The Christian religion has nothing to do with the Bible. All right? So we wouldn't call ourselves Christians in the sense of we follow the tenets that Christians follow today, which is not true. But what we do say is that we are the true followers of the one the world calls Jesus Christ. All right, I'm going to read Christian for you out of the Zondervan's as well. All right. This is Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary. You can pick this up on Amazon. I don't know how much they cost now. When I was grabbing them, they were about 50 or 60 bucks or so. All right. Christian. This is Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary, page 162. Christian. The biblical meaning is adherent of Christ. That's all it means. Israel. Adherent of Christ. The disciples were formerly called Christians first in Antioch, Acts 11:26. Let's get that real quick. All right. Acts chapter 11, verse 26. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. And the disciples were called, Israel, Christians first in Antioch. They were called that. We have to understand is that term was an epithet. It was something that they used against them, really, to spite them. And it is akin to what they say today about us being, what they say, black Hebrew Israelites. That's another epithet. And it is something that we have taken and used to our own advantage, because all publicity is good publicity in the sense that, if you're getting positive or negative feedback for the right reasons, for doing the right thing, then that's good. And so they use that term, much like we use the term black Hebrew Israelites, and we now use the term radical Hebrew Israelites. You know what I mean? Let's continue reading. Agrippa recognized that to believe what Paul preached would make him a Christian. Peter accepted the name as in itself basis for persecution. So that's what it was. They were using that term when they were persecuting us, akin to them calling us black Hebrew Israelites, black identity extremists, or radical Hebrew Israelites today. Israel, that answer your question. If it didn't, let me know. Any follow-up questions, let me know. All right, let's take it back to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 35 and 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. They haven't hated blood, man. They have not hated blood. And since they haven't hated blood, blood's going to pursue them. And that's what's happening here. That's what's happening with the situation in India. That's what's happening in the war in Ukraine. That's what's happening with war breaking out in Azerbaijan or Armenia, whatever country it is. Blood is pursuing them. blood is pursuing them. Let me share my screen again. So let's go back to the CNN article now. Let's go back to the CNN article. Extremists given operating space in Canada, says Indian minister. An Indian minister has accused Canada of giving operating space to terrorists and extremists. We've just expounded upon that for about an hour and found that to, well, not be false. Let's put it that way. As he rejected claims by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that the Indian government may have played a role in the assassination of a Sikh separatist on Canadian soil. So there was this Sikh guy who was assassinated in Canada. The Canadian government believed that it was an assassination. Okay, it was an assassination of a Sikh. Canada believes that the Indian government was responsible for an assassination of a Sikh separatist on Canadian soil. The Sikhs believe that they lay claim to their own land. I'm going to get the country name in a second. Okay, the Khalistan movement is a separatist movement seeking to create a homeland for Sikhs by establishing an ethno-religious sovereign state called Khalistan. So they want to make another Khalistan. There's many stands in that area, so it's ironic. Pakistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan. They want to make Khalistan, essentially. Okay, and one of these leaders who was pushing the move to establish that independent state was assassinated on Canadian soil. The Canadian Prime Minister made some allegations initially privately. And then publicly. And our response to him, both in private and in public, was that what he was alleging was not consistent with our policy. That doesn't mean anything because assassinating someone is not on your policy. All right, America has a kill list, and they don't have to go and ask Congress about it. There's a direct line of communication between, I believe it's the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the CIA, and the president himself. So if the president or one of those two other entities wants you gone, they don't have to go and vote in Congress. It's not on the books. It's not a policy. So I don't know what they were trying to say by that, but yeah, it's assumed or alleged by Canada that India had a hand in his death. India's Minister of External Affairs, Subramanyam Jaishankar, said during a discussion at the Hudson Institute in Washington, D.C. on Friday. The minister said India was, quote, open to further examine the event if the Canadian government, quote, had anything relevant and specific they would like us to look into, but added that the row between countries preceded Trudeau's allegations. Relations between the two nations took a nosedive last week after Trudeau claimed his authorities have been investigating credible allegations of a potential link between, quote, agents of the government of India and the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. That's the guy who was trying to make Khalistan. That was the guy who was the leader of the Sikhs, of a Sikh separatist movement. All right? And the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, an outspoken supporter of the creation of Khalistan, a separate homeland for the Sikhs that would include parts of India's Punjab state. India considers calls for Khalistan a grave national security threat. However, it has vehemently denied Trudeau's claims, calling them absurd and motivated. And the growing spat between the two countries, and the growing spat has seen both countries expel each other's diplomats. So they have diplomats there. A diplomat would be like a representative. Matter of fact, let me look the word up. Diplomat. A diplomat is an official representing a country abroad. So it's like an ambassador. Yeah, an ambassador is a diplomat. So it's the same thing. It's representing his country in another country. All right. But Jai Shankar said on Friday that the differences went back further than the row over Nijar's death. He said the Indian government had long accused Canada of inaction in dealing with Sikh separatist extremism aimed at creating a separate Sikh homeland. Okay, this is very strange because you as one nation can't tell another nation what to do with any of its members. If these Sikhs are living in India, living in Canada, and aren't bothering India, you have no right to, not directly at least, go off and run and try and tell them what to do. But see, that's who they are. They're extremely bossy, the East Indians. They can't be that way. Okay? And they're certainly very prideful to try and stop it because, that's not always how things work. Let's put it that way. So, that doesn't quite make sense. Let's go to scripture on Elam. Jeremiah 49:35. So this is for the nation of India. It's for Modi and all those that are of that ethnic line. You are an Elamite according to the Bible. Let's get that straight. Let's get that cemented in. You are an Elamite according to the Bible if you hail from India and your fathers hail from India. All right? This is, again, what I'm about to read to you here. This is something you can just go ahead and look up. Elam. Elam was an ancient civilization centered in the far west and southwest of modern-day Iran. Very close to where? India. Not too far from India. Stretching from the lowlands of what is now Khuzestan and Elam province, as well as a small part of southern Iraq. Its culture played a crucial role during the Persian Achaemenid dynasty. Let's look that up. Map of Achaemenid dynasty. Image. Bear with me 1 second. Stop sharing. Share screen. Achaemenid. Boom! There we go. Look at this right here, man. Look at this right here. Facebook, YouTube. You see that blue? Look at that blue right there. Where's that going? Huh? Where's that going? Okay. Bear with me 1 second. Boom. Anyway, the map, according to the map, it's stretching at this point into India. Okay, and it says that its culture, the culture of the Elamites, played a crucial role during the Persian Achaemenid dynasty that succeeded Elam, when the Elamite language remained among those in official use. So this region was run by the Achaemenid dynasty, which was headed by Elam. Where were they? In this area, long ago. But as we see from this map, this group, which was dominating this empire, moved further east. Moved further east. And eventually spilled over into India and became the dominant culture there. But that's who you are. That's who you are according to the Bible. You're an Elamite. Let me look up, see if the Zondervan's gives us any more clues on it. All right, that's a surface level explanation. More will be given in future classes. All right, future broadcasts, if you will. This is the Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary, page 240. Elam, a country situated on the east side of the Tigris River, opposite Babylonia in a mountainous region. Its population was made up of a variety of tribes. Their language, different from the Sumerian, Semitic, and Indo-European tongues, was written in cuneiform script. Let's look up Hindi. me 1 second. Boom. Uniform. Hold on. Bear with me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. Again, if you're listening, smash the like button, smash the share button. All right. 1 second. I see. Okay. Well, in any event, this is the Achaemenid dynasty. The Elamites were in charge of it. Later on, they spilled into India and became a part of or formed the Mughal empires, etc. All right, but that's the Elamites. Elamites are the East Indians, according to the Bible. I'll get more information on that in future streams. Let's continue reading here. Page 240, Elam, Zondervan Pictorial Bible Dictionary. The country situated on the east side of the Tigris River, opposite Babylonia, in a mountainous region. Its population was made up of a variety of tribes. The language, different from the Sumerian, Semitic, and Indo-European tongues, was written in cuneiform script. It has not yet been deciphered to any great extent. Elam was one of the earliest civilizations. In Sumerian inscriptions, it was called Numa, high mountain people, which term became Elamtu in Akkadian texts. In classical literature, it was known as Susiana, the Greek name for Susa, the capital city of Elam. Sargon I claimed conquest of Elam in his day. Later on, about 2280 BC, 2280 BC, an Elamite king invaded Babylonia and took back much spoil. Gudea, a ruler of the city of Lagash, about 2100 BC, mentions that the Elamites collected some of the timbers which he used to construct in the temple of Ningirsu, the god of Lagash. Hammurabi, 728 to 1686 BC, subdued the Elamites. In the time of Abraham, according to Genesis 14:1, blah, 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 Chedorlaomer made a raid on Palestine. Elam figures prominently in Babylonian and Assyrian texts because it was situated so close to them. Babylon became active against Assyrian supremacy. Elam became her chief ally. Syria was not able to subdue Elam completely until the time of Ashurbanipal, who sacked the country thoroughly in 640 BC. This catastrophe practically finished Elam as a nation, but part of the country was not so much affected by these intrusions of Semitic powers. This district, called Anzan, was, next to the capital Susa, the most important part of the nation. From that area, Cyrus, the conqueror of Babylon, arose. Isaiah cites Elam as one of the nations going up with Cyrus against Babylon and joining the Assyrian army against Judah. Elam was one of the nations forced to drink the cup of God's wrath and doomed to judgment. Ezra 4:9 refers to the Elamites as among the peoples brought over to Samaria by the Assyrians. Acts 2:9 expresses Elamites being, Elam being one of the tongues spoken by the visitor. So that's who they are. We have to do some more research on it. That didn't quite hit it home. The Elamites are the East Indians. The Elamites also will suffer God's judgment for the crimes that they committed against Blacks, Latinos, and First Nations. Now, okay. Now, that's who they are. Now, they're going to be destroyed. They're going to be destroyed by the one you call God. All right? Jeremiah 49 and 34. The word of God, the word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah, the prophet, against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying, thus saith the Lord God of hosts, behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. This is Jeremiah 49 and 35. The Most High is going to break the bow of Elam. What's the bow? The weapon of Elam. They have a big bow. They have great might, long arms, long reach. Emigrate to many a nation. The Most High is going to break their power. God is going to break their power. Why? For the oppression that they have, for the way they have oppressed the West Indians particularly. And many of these West Indian islands, the natives don't have a claim to anything. Not a coconut, not a banana, not a steel drum, nothing over there in Jamaica and Trinidad, etc. Why? Because the East Indians, the Elamites, have gobbled it all up and have oppressed the natives of that island. Well, the natives of that island are one of the tribes of the children of Israel. All right? One of the tribes of the children of Israel. Let's keep reading. Verse 36, and upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four corners of heaven, and I will scatter them toward all those winds. And there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. So you think there's a lot of people emigrating from India now, rather? You think there's a lot of people moving now? Wait till Most High gets finished with this earth. They're going to be everywhere. They're going to be everywhere, and that is a judgment that is upon India from God for the crimes. And just like any other nation that commits crimes, they must pay for their crimes. All right? Verse 37, for I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies. You see, Elam's going to be dismayed before their enemies. They're going to fight Canada. They're going to fight the United States and vice versa. Russia, etc. They're all going to fight. And God has said that India is going to be dismayed before their enemies and before them that seek their life. And I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, saith the Lord. And I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. And I will set my throne in Elam, and it will destroy from thence the kings and princes, saith the Lord. And that's manifold. That's talking about when Christ returns, and it's talking about the arrival of Ashur-Banipal, I believe his name is, who first destroyed Elam a while back. You know? Verse 39. Verse 39. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam. There's going to be a time when the Most High will bring again. He's going to end their captivity. He'll bring it up. All right? He'll bring it up. Bear with me 1 second. Questions, type your questions in. Questions, type your questions in. Let's have them. All right? Smash the like button. Smash the share button. If you've got questions, type your questions in. All right. So let's see what else we've got here in Canada. We'll continue to keep reading this article, CNN article, rather. All right, bear with me 1 second. Let's continue reading. He said the Indian government had long accused Canada of inaction in dealing with the Sikh separatist extremism aimed at creating a separate Sikh homeland. He said India believes Canada has, quote, a very permissive Canadian attitude towards terrorists, extremist people who openly advocate violence. Yeah, well, yes, they do. Not only do they have a permissive attitude, but it has been said by others that their environment is actually ripe for these sorts of groups to grow. You know, that's what Mr. Bartley said, the historian, who we read from a couple minutes back about the Ku Klux Klan and their proliferation in Canada. You know, that's true. It's not false. You know, so these are things that Canada's going to have to come to grips with. You know, and if you are so permissive and open, then be permissive and open to the prophets of God. How about that? the priests after the order of Melchizedek, the priests after doing the things that Christ taught. That's what we should do. That's what they should do, right? Let's keep reading. Those individuals, quote, have been given operating space in Canada because of the compulsions of Canadian politics, Jaishankar said. Ijar's death shocked and outraged the Sikh community in Canada, one of the largest outside India, home to more than 770,000 members of the religious minority. A number of groups associated with the idea of Khalistan are listed as terrorist organizations under India's Unlawful Activities Act. Though several Sikh organizations abroad have accused the Indian government of falsely equating terrorism to them. So you've got finger pointing, man. You've got finger pointing, he said, she said, which is largely what's going on, which should strengthen you in your walk in the truth. And that much of what is said about us is just hearsay. It's he said, she said, and others would have differing opinions. So in sum or in total, it shouldn't stop you from doing the right thing. It may affect us, but it shouldn't stop us from doing the right thing. So that's what's going on here. Skirmishes on both sides is going to end in war, and is going to be spelled for the end of Canada, and it will spell for the end of India as well. All right. For the rest of the class, I want to delve into a important topic, and that topic being, personal conduct, if you will. Let me go to Ecclesiasticus chapter. Give me 1 second. Ecclesiasticus chapter 33 and verse 2. A wise man hateth not the law. A wise man, a man of wisdom. What is wisdom? How can it be summarized? Wisdom is the prudent application of God's law. A wise man hateth not the law. He doesn't hate the law. But he that is an hypocrite therein, if you're a hypocrite in the law, if you say one thing and do another, is as a ship in the storm. You're going to be turned aside and turned over to everything. Every different ideology, every different belief system, you're going to be turned around, flipped around. Don't be a hypocrite, man. Like, you should be a walking, living, breathing, eating, sleeping example of your ideology. Okay? That's what you should be. And if you're not, you're going to be led about. You're going to be thrashed around. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15 and 58. Any more questions? Type your questions in. If you have questions, let's hear them. Type your questions in, all right? I'm going to end the class in a few minutes. We'll do the prayers as well, all right? If I have them, I should have them in here. I may have to look for them briefly, all right? 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast. Like, this is detailing personal conduct for the brothers, man. Brothers, be steadfast. It can be more difficult for a woman because women tend to be more emotional. Is that wrong? No. Is it, something to be crushed? Not necessarily. It is how they were built. It's how they were designed. Like, we were designed to push for strength and be strong and to develop. Women are a bit more emotional and are certainly more nurturing. It's necessary because you have to be a bit illogical to rear babies. Meaning the child, the woman would look at the child and be able to more quickly ascertain what's wrong based on the cues that the child's giving, more so than a man. A man's whatever, put a diaper on, slap a diaper on him, and hand him over to his mom, whatever. It's step by step with us. Is that wrong? No, it's how we were built, But as a man, you need to be steadfast. You need to be consistent, man. Be consistent and be a man of your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it, man. Be very careful what you say to other people, what you commit yourself to. I committed myself to teaching this class, and unless I died, I was going to teach it. Why? Because I'm steadfast. And be unmovable. Do your time here, man. Do your time. Put your time. Put your hands into something. Put your nose to the grindstone. Always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as ye know that your labor is not vain in the Lord. Always abounding in the work. Always working and striving, doing something. doing something, staying busy, finding work, because this work, the labor that you do here, is not in vain. This class I taught today is not in vain. It will be remembered. It will be noted. The work that you do at camp, the travels that you make throughout Canada, it's not in vain. It will be noted. It will be remembered. You know, I can't say the same for these entertainers, these concerts. You know, that labor might be in vain. You might lose it all. It might not ever be yours. You know, you may die poor. But here, doing this job, it's not in vain. Understand that and know that as well. You know, it's one thing to understand. It's one thing to know it, but it's another thing to understand it. You know, come to that realization as well. That this isn't for nothing, man. And this isn't a joke or a game either. You should take this deathly seriously. And if you don't take anything serious in your life, you haven't, you know, you'll be noted. It'll be told, it'll be mentioned to you, hey, you need to take this a little bit more seriously. You need to do X, Y, Z better, what have you. Let's go to Romans chapter 7, verse 22. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man. Paul delighted in the law of God. That's what we have to do as well. Delight in the law of God. To want to do what the Most High says. And have a delight in it. There's a delight in not being ran through. There's a delight in not doing that anymore. There's a delight in not buying, you know, horizontal employees. There's a delight in going out, getting a woman, putting in the work to meet her, what have you, and sealing the deal, as they say, or making her yours. There's a delight in that, man, that you don't have in hitting a woman upside the head or kidnapping her, man, or forcing her against her will. You don't have that delight. There's a delight in keeping the laws of God. All right? Let's drop that. Let's go to 1 Peter. 1 Peter 3 and 4. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 4. But let it be the hidden man of the heart in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of great price. This is to the personal conduct of a woman. You can read verses 3 on down for the personal conduct of a woman. You're not trying to boss your man around because you may know something that he doesn't know, or you have some power that he doesn't have. You yield that power to him, just like you yielded your body to him. It's a one-to-one correlation. If you give up your body, you should be able to give some of your wallet. You should be able to extend other things and other gifts to him to serve him. And if you do it, what you'll notice is that you'll love him more. Your love and your care for him will go stronger. Many women think it's the opposite because they've been masculinized in this world, but doing acts of service, whatever that might be, for your man will grow your bond with him even stronger, because women build bonds with people and objects through service. It's akin to raising a child. Rearing a child the way a mother can rear a child forms a bond with that child. Think of the bond you have with your son or with your daughter. You know, you as a woman. I can't speak to this directly because I'm not a woman, but you know, you'll know this more than I would ever even fathom. You know, as a woman, you know how strong your bond is with your children. Your children piss you off every day, I imagine, as a woman, but you absolutely love them. Part of that is the amount of time that you've put in. The same thing's true with your husband. This world would have you half in and half out. This world would have you half-ass your relationship with your husband. Why? Because, and many women won't necessarily understand this, but this is the truth. The truth is that there's a big push for men and women to break up because it means they can rent more apartments. You want to summarize it? Full stop. Stop the presses. You want to summarize the man versus woman gender war? It is this. Zillow.com, BlackRock they bought a ton of houses. Notice the housing prices are very expensive. And so your dating coach guru, Ken Samuels, he's gone, but your dating coach, your guru, your girls group, your girl group chat aren't even thinking on that level. The reason they want to break families up is because it means they can rent out more apartments. If you would stay together with him and the kids, That's one apartment. That's one house. Now, you two get together, you have kids, you break up. The dude's got to get his own place or sleep in the street. The woman, if they're married, in some cases, gets the house. He's got to find a new house. They may want to move. They get a new house. They split up. They're renting. Now he's renting. She's renting. The kids grow up. Then they rent. The rent's going to be separate from the parents because the parents broken up. There is financial incentive. There's financial incentive in coming to you as a woman when you're upset and telling you to leave him. That's why what the Christian church is doing is nefarious and evil. And that is why the false prophet is going to be burned alive when Christ returns. Because they're operating at a level of evil that you don't, as a woman, you don't even think about this. You don't think about what I just said. But I'm a man, so I go, dog, where's the money at? Where's the money at? Yeah, I hear you got to leave him because he's doing this and he's doing that, and he doesn't satisfy you sexually. I'm looking past all that. I'm looking for the money. I found it right there. They want you to rent. They want you to get more apartments, make Zillow more money. Okay? But if you would conduct yourself like a woman listed in 1 Peter 3, Proverbs 31, etc., then they would be pissed off. The fabric of capitalism would break. Would totally break apart. If you're willing to stay with the man who you see as good enough to give your body to. You know, you would do acts of service for him. This world doesn't push that. This world pushes for you to give that to your boss. A man, he's not even having sex with you. I could see if your husband was your boss and you are bending over, backwards for him. They tell you for the man that you bend over forwards for, going this way, excuse my language, the man that you give yourself to, he ain't nothing. But the man who isn't doing that and is telling you to do stuff you don't want to do, you'll bend over backwards for him. Do the math on that, folks. Personal conduct for a woman is also important, man. Personal conduct for a woman is also important, and that is what you should do for him. Do more things for him. Invest more into him, and you'll be more invested in the family staying together. All right? Hidden man of the heart, of the mind. That's where it should be for a woman as well. What's on your mind? What are you thinking about? That's how she should operate. That's where her focus should be, on her thoughts. All right, her behaviors. I'm going to go to Psalm 51. Psalm 51 and 10. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Create in me a clean heart, man. A clean heart, not a dirty mind. Give me a clean heart. What's a clean heart? A heart or a mind that thinks and does things in accordance with the law, statutes, and commandments of God. All right, that's a clean heart. And renew a right spirit in me. What's the right spirit? The right spirit is to want to keep the family together. The right spirit is to want to, for the right reasons, of course. The right spirit is to want to swap the pork, to get rid of the pork and bring in the lamb. Get rid of the shrimp and bring in the salmon. That's the right spirit. That's what we have to want, and that's what we have to work towards. That's what will improve our personal conduct with your wife, if you're a woman, with your husband, at your job, wherever you are. Operating in the way that the Most High wants you to operate in, that is what will, make it work, as they say, and will take you far into many places. I'm going to Romans 12 and 2. It's going to be my last scripture. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Don't be conformed to this world, man, because this world is not conformed to what is good, what is perfect, what is acceptable. This world is in accordance, is conformed to what is unacceptable, what is imperfect, what is a failure. and what is the will of the oppressor, not the will of God. That's what this world's after. That's what this world's about, and that's what this world's for, man. We can't be that way. We have to be conformed to the will of the Most High, to want what He wants. And He wants blacks, Latinos, and natives to rule, and He wants His laws, statutes, and commandments to be observed here on earth. And with that, I'm going to wrap up the class here. Priest Officer 5000 a bun, holding down the ISUBK Canada class. I'm at the helm. Contact us at isubkcanada@gmail.com. isubkcanada@gmail.com for the scoop, all right? Or to rather ask us a question. To get the scoop, go to ISUBK Canada Toronto, ISUBK Toronto rather, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. We've got ISUBK Montreal page as well, Facebook and YouTube. We've got ISUBK Montreal Twitter as well. All right. I'm going to send up the Lord's Prayer. And I'm going to wrap the class up, all right? Make sure you smash the like and share button. So I'm Majim, which means to stand. Well, Wapoya Hakwadon, which means turn to face the east. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Amanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwatka, Tabaa, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashemayim, Lathananawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kawathnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kawathyanao, Wala, Tabianawa, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwath, Wa Allah, Wa Thabarath, La Lamyam, Aman. In English, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. With that, we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Make sure you smash the like button, smash the share button. We got classes here all throughout Canada, ISUBK Toronto, ISUBK Montreal. Right now, we're going to open up other zones in the future. With that being said, till next time, shalom.